Oh, and Fred, I think you need to make me a host so I can share my screen.
Okay. Let's see.
Fred, let me know if you hear some background noise or things like that. I have a window open and there's something going on in the background. So if it becomes obtrusive, let me know.
I don't hear anything.
Okay, good.
Sounds good.
Tell
Everything-
Dave to stop mowing his lawn, Scott.
Yeah, right.
Everything's ready when you want to start, Scott?
Yeah, I'd say,
Let the public in.
yeah, let the public in.
Okay, here they come.
Okay, Fred, we got everybody?
Yep, everybody's in, ready to go.
Okay, great. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Rhinebeck Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for May 19th, 2021. And before I open up the meeting, I have to read a small statement, which allows us to do this meeting by Zoom. I have confirmed with the ZBA Council that tonight's meeting has been convened in accordance with the Governor's Executive Order 202.1, which suspends certain provisions of the Open Meetings Law to allow a municipal board to convene a meeting via video conferencing, and the Governor's Executive Order 202.107, which extends such suspension until June 9th of 2021. As such, there is no in-person meeting for the ZBA, and this meeting is being conducted via Zoom video conferencing. In accordance with these executive orders, the public has been provided with the ability to view tonight's public meeting via Zoom or to watch a live stream of the meeting on the town's webpage. In further accordance with the executive order, a transcript will be made at a later date. This meeting's agenda has been duly noticed on the town's webpage, which notice was accompanied by information as to how to access and view this meeting. So with that, I will call the meeting to order, and the first order of business is to review the meeting minutes from the last meeting back in April.
First, make sure you have a quorum.
Oh, okay. I know we do have a quorum, but I will call out the names of the board members. Tim Allenbrook, are you present?
Yes, I am.
Catherine Clark,
Yes.
Tim Econopoli,
Yes.
and myself. So that is 4 out of 5. We have a quorum. We can go forward. And then again, back to the approval of the minutes for the April meeting. Anybody have some questions, concerns, corrections, anything they want to talk about the meeting minutes for April?
I sent some comments to Chris either yesterday or today. I was making sure she got them.
Yes, I got them. And I did, I accepted them in there. Tim, you might want to just let Tim know about the number 4, the planning board comment.
Oh, yes.
I think that was the main concern.
So there was a question as to for the Dells roadside, whether the planning board had recommended we contact DOT. At the last meeting, we had decided that because the sign structure has really been there for 60 years, it really wasn't necessary to send that referral out. So I just made a note in the minutes that we had discussed it, and that was what we had decided.
Sounds good to me.
Good.
Okay. Subject to the amendments that Kim made, I will make a motion that we adopt the meeting minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Catherine Clark. And I'll say, instead of saying all in favor, I will poll the board. Yes for me, Tim Allenbrook,
Yes.
Tim Econopoli,
Yes.
Catherine Clark.
Yes.
All right, the meeting minutes are approved. Now, the next order of business is new business, and the first matter that's up for review is the Baker application. Is there someone here for the Baker application?
Yes, I am. Hi,
Okay.
Matt.
Hi, Matt. Matt, I assume you know what we require here, but I'll just basically go over it, especially for some of the folks who are, new to this process. All we're doing at this point in time is reviewing the application to see if it's sufficient for us to accept and be able to consider the request. And so I'd ask that you briefly take us through the application. The board members may have some questions. If you could answer them, we may ask for some additional information that comes up sometime. But if you could just take us through the application, what you're asking for, and take it away.
Sure. So hi, thanks everyone for your time. Jeff Baker owns the property at 1010 Route 308. It's a 24.5 acre parcel in the RC5 zoning district. It's in the agricultural district with an ag exemption on it as it's actively farmed. The project involves relocating the existing 2-bedroom single-family residential structure, which is kind of hard to see, but in the lower left, the proposed 2-bedroom is actually going directly on top of it. So that's where there's an existing 2-bedroom structure right now.
And that'll be moved towards the road.
Yeah, that's going to be relocated to the north. Yep, over here, it's structure number 5. And that's going to become an accessory dwelling unit. And the principal structure, 2-bedroom home with attached garage, is going to go in the place of where that sits now. So yeah, there's an existing wastewater disposal system over there that's going to be reused. We're going to obviously put a new one in for the accessory dwelling unit. Additionally, there's a pole barn that's proposed to be constructed east of the, structure number 3. It's east of the 2-bedroom home and garage, and that will be an agricultural building. There's also an existing non-conforming garage, building 4, that's proposed to remain. That's located within both the wetland buffer and the side yard setback, but existing non-conforming. So just proposing to leave that as it is.
Okay.
So yeah, there are a few variances required for this. The first one is the location of the principal dwelling in relation to the front lot line. And also just the fact that it sits further from the front lot line than the accessory dwelling unit. So the proposed principal dwelling is about 525 feet. And the accessory dwelling unit is going to be 390 feet. And the main reason for that.
Oh, you're muted.
I'm muted.
No, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I do.
Yes, you're fine.
You're muted.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
The main reason that the principal dwelling is going to be further from the front yard lot line than the accessory is that where the principal dwelling is proposed, that's really the best location on the site. It's got beautiful views of the lake. It's outside of the wetland buffer. So it's really ideal for where he would like to put his home, for where Jeff would. And then where we're relocating the accessory dwelling, it's pretty much as far from the road as it can be without encroaching into the wetland buffer. And it's still almost 400 feet from the road. There's pretty dense vegetation along the road there. So it's not the principal dwelling isn't visible at all. The accessory dwelling is barely visible.
Right.
Um,
Quick question. Do you have renderings of the proposed new structure and the pole barn?
I do not have them right now.
Okay. I would
some-
request, and I'm not saying that we can't accept the application tonight, but as part of accepting it, I like to see the renderings. It's part of our, review to
Sure.
see if it changes the the character of the neighborhood. So I'd like to get renderings of the proposed new house, the attached garage, and the proposed pole barn.
Okay.
And yeah, elevations, things like that. Although, yeah, we just have the overall site plan, which is good, and it sets forth everything. And I know that we know the property from a prior application, but I would like to get those renderings at a minimum.
Okay.
Would we want to have, is the accessory dwelling literally going to be moved from one spot to the other?
Yeah, that's the plan.
If we could just have photos of that structure as well?
Sure.
And ultimately, what we're going to need when we go out for a site visit is to have the areas staked out, so we have a general idea. Again, we know the property, but a general idea, especially the new location of the old house. I kind of know where it's going to be, but I'd like to know exactly where it's going to be when we go out there.
Sure. We can do that.
Another thing, and Kim, maybe you can speak to this as well. We had discussed the application, and I think I was confused. Maybe Kim was confused too about the third variance, talking about the attached garage being a accessory residential dwelling, which I don't believe it is. It's an accessory. It's an accessory structure. And that's been an ongoing situation, with the zoning board, that an attached garage is an accessory structure. You can agree or disagree with that, but it's certainly not a residential dwelling. And Kim, I don't know if you want to speak to that at all.
Yeah, actually, I spoke with Matt actually this afternoon, and I'll let Matt explain it, but it does sound more like the garage will actually be a garage, and the accessory dwelling will be that building that's going to be relocated. I did reach out to Jim Levy, who was the acting CEO for the determination letter. I haven't heard back from him yet, but I just wanted to just be on the same page with him. And again, Matt, I'll let you just explain it, but in addition to the renderings and the elevations, if you could also just provide the floor plans of the principal structure, that would be helpful, because in order really to be an accessory dwelling unit, you need to have, a kitchen, a bathroom, and a bedroom. Again, Matt can speak to this. It didn't sound like that really was there. It sounded like it was really just going to be a garage. So I do have that question out. We can just resolve that. But if we could have floor plans, I think that would really help resolve the issue if I don't hear back from Jim.
Sure. Yeah.
Kim, could
Yeah,
you,
and just real quick, where that came from, I did not think that the garage was going to be classified as an accessory residential dwelling unit either. That's something that Jim Levy put in his letter on April
Okay.
26th. I don't know if you guys received that, but I asked him about it, and he said it was a little strange, but that's the way it is. So I kind of was just following his lead, and then was planning to take it up here.
Okay.
But I agree. I mean, my understanding is it's going to be a garage. There's not like a separate apartment within it. I can certainly provide floor plans that show that. But yeah, I was a little confused about that as well, but I put it in for discussion purposes.
Okay, I understand now why you threw it in there. Okay, makes sense.
but it's not going, there's going to be two residential spaces, the main house and the accessory residential building. And this garage is not going to be a living area, right?
Correct.
Okay. And it'll be attached to the new house.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else, any other board members have any questions, concerns, requests for additional information for the application?
These were also provided from the application. This is just some of the views and the aerial views from the road. Again, Matt, I don't know if you want to explain anything, but this was just also provided, I think, just to show this probably the screening from the road.
Yeah. There's not a lot to talk about there, but
Matt, if you look at the lower picture, if you go
Mhm.
straight to the bottom of the roadway that curls down kind of in the middle of the, yeah, you can almost see, I think, the structure, the existing structure at the end of that roadway. Is that right?
correct. Yeah, that's where the existing structure is, and that's where the primary dwelling is proposed.
And
to
then if
be
you go up
located.
maybe about halfway up, going up the photo, that's probably generally where the old structure is going to be placed.
Yeah, kind of in the corner of that tree line, just north of the driveway. But yes, somewhere around there is where it's
Okay.
proposed. Yeah. So it'll be outside of the wetland buffer, and like I said, about 400 feet from the road.
Are any
Okay.
trees going to be removed, or any other existing landscaping going to be changed?
We're not proposing to remove any trees. We kind of have cited everything so that we're not going to impact any vegetation. That's the goal.
Hey, Kim, could you take us back to the other picture? I just wanted to point out to the board members, I think Kim's comment was a good one. Oh, that if you just go back one, Kim.
Which picture did you want? Sorry.
You go
The
back to
map?
the page that has the two pictures on it, the
Oh.
one that you were just on. Yeah, right here, the roof view from Route
Oh, I
208.
see.
From I think this is an important picture from the standpoint of impact to community character. Because illustrating how buffered this is from the public view and the public roadway. And so anyway, if you desire any more in the way of photos from that perspective, now would be a good time to tell Matt about that. You'll see it quite well on the site viz as well, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah, I'm fine. If the other board members want some additional photographs, that's fine. I mean, I know the property. We've been out there before for another application. So, but again, the intent is to keep all the vegetation that's in front of the on the front, in existence. You're not going to cut the trees down or any of that kind of stuff.
Correct. Yeah.
The house that's being relocated will be just in front of that tree line, is that correct?
It'll be 400 feet back. It's a little bit blocked from some of the trees from the view of that photo, but yeah, in this one it'll be kind of in the elbow of where the tree line is.
Okay.
Right, okay.
All right. Any other questions, concerns from the board members?
Just one other point.
Okay.
There was one other variance that was needed, in addition to having the accessory structure in front of the principal and perhaps the accessory dwelling, which I'm just going to verify that. But section 125-27A4, roofed or otherwise enclosed accessory structures shall be in the aggregate not more than 1,500 square feet. And with all the structures, the total is 2,520. So the variance is for 1,020 square feet. That's just the square foot area of all the accessory structures, which includes the attached garage, the detached garage, the dwelling unit that's going to be relocated that becomes the accessory dwelling unit, and that's it.
And the pole barn, right?
And the pole barn, yep.
Actually, the pole
Oh,
barn
no.
isn't included in that,
Is it
nor
It's an
is,
yeah, thanks, Matt. Yeah, it's an agricultural building, so those aren't included.
All right, so there'll be 4 potentially. Variances.
Three. Oh, variances. There should
Yeah.
be 2, potentially 3.
Okay, again, any other questions, concerns?
No, I don't. Good.
Good.
Okay. All right, hearing none, I'll make a motion to accept the application subject to the additional information that we requested, which includes renderings, elevations, the floor plans, and I forget if there was anything else. Chris or John, correct me, but I think those were all the items that were requested
The
And you just
photo-
asked for it to be staked out too.
and staked out, certainly, yeah.
And photos of the existing accessory structure. Catherine,
Correct.
right?
Okay, great.
Yeah.
okay, and so the renderings are for the principal building, garage, and pole barn.
Correct.
Correct.
The new structures.
And then the floor plan will be for the accessory structure and the proposed primary residence, principal
Yes,
dwelling,
with the
Yes.
garage.
with the garage.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. All right, I'll get those to you guys as soon as possible.
Okay. Well, do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay. In favor, I'm in favor. Tim Allenbrook,
Yes.
Catherine Clark,
Yes.
Tim Econopoli.
Yes.
Okay, so basically, Matt, what we'll do is we'll set this matter down for the next meeting, which I'm not exactly sure when in June it is. Chris?
June 16th.
June 16th. Matt, can you make that date?
Yeah, I will.
Okay. We would like to get the additional information well in advance of that, so probably say 2 weeks or so.
1 week.
One
1 week.
Okay, sure.
By next-
I can do that.
But yeah, if possible by the end of next week, so I can properly send out the referral and public hearing instructions for you.
Okay, yep, I'll have it for you.
She's the authority, so you listen to her.
Yep.
I'm just the chair. Anyway, okay, so we'll see you on the 16th and, supply all that information. Let's see. All right, apparently, and Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm reading from the cheat sheets. This application is also before the planning board, and they've taken, have they taken lead agency status as far as the secret determination?
I believe so, yes.
Yep.
But I
Okay.
haven't received anything yet. I haven't received their determination for that.
Right, but they're the ones that are going to make the determination?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right, good.
I was at the
Alright.
last planning board meeting, or I was at the planning board meeting when this was up, and the answer is yes.
Okay, good. So we can wait on them and let them do that. All right, and the referrals are to the Rhinebeck Planning Board as usual, and that's it? No other referrals?
Yes, correct.
Okay. All right, who would like to be assigned to the resolution? Any volunteers?
Well, I'll take it.
Okay. All right. John, Kim, have I missed anything?
I think you're good.
Okay, we'll go on
Okay,
to
great.
the next matter, which is,
Thanks a lot.
Thanks,
thank you
Matt.
very much, Matt. We'll see you in a month.
Okay, goodbye.
All right. The next matter is Barrett, It's like deja vu all over again. Good to see you, Hannah. You're muted. Okay, there you are.
Good evening.
Good evening. I think we know what you want to do since you've been before us before. But I understand there's been a slight change in the structure, and then apparently during the planning board process, it was determined that two additional variances were required. Is that kind of accurate?
Yeah, that's correct. That's what's in the determination letter from Jim Levy, who was the zoning officer at the time.
Okay, so you've been through this before. If you could just take the board through your application, which we've seen before, we know, but still it's good to get a refresher.
Okay, is there a way to zoom in a little bit? These are the existing buildings. Can we go to the next page? Yeah, okay. So there is the shed workshop that we want to build, and we're seeking the variance for the front and the back. We already have the one for the side, and we also have some renderings for this that we included in the application.
Was this in the first, is this the same renderings that were in the first application? I didn't.
No,
Oh, I don't think I received those renderings. Let me double check.
Yeah, I didn't see them either, but I could have missed it. So Hannah, it's gonna, we don't have to worry about the side yard setback. It's basically in the same place. So we've granted that already. That's set.
Is the footprint and the location the same, Hannah?
yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, but I'm surprised that you don't have the renderings, because
I have a printout of them. I didn't.
I think I
don't-
do. Hold on one
Okay.
second.
because one of the things that I also mentioned in the cover letter is that we had to switch from a metal kit company to building it from scratch, and we just decided to use the same engineer for the survey and the plans, and because we found that the kit company did not produce blueprints and it wouldn't pass the building department requirements. So,
Are
but
these what renderings?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, this is all sides of the structure, and just looking down, and all you see in there really is the markings for the door, the windows, and we're putting in a small sink. And this, sorry,
No, you go, Hannah.
but it's also before the planning board.
Right. And is this also a metal structure? I see the stuff attached to the,
No, it's a hardy board,
okay.
So it's traditional,
clapboards.
yeah, and then hardy board on the outside. Traditional structure in terms of 2x4s and all
Yeah.
that kind of framing. Yeah, traditional structure with hardy board on the outside.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but which side faces the road?
Side with the doors.
Okay.
And it's still staked out. You're welcome to drive by and do another site visit if you wish.
Hannah, are some of the other details the same? You know, that it's mainly for storage and craft purposes, not extending the driveway, electricity.
What was the last thing about electricity? There will be electricity, and we are plumbing it and connecting it to the septic system.
And it's heated and
Yeah.
air conditioned. I
Yes.
mean, it's temperature controlled.
Yes, it'll be temperature controlled.
Have you decided on a color and things like that? I mean, the renderings here, show kind of a basic structure, but I was just wondering if there's any color, or is it going to match the house, or is it going to,
Match the house.
okay. Any board members have any other questions, concerns, or requirement for additional information?
Yeah, one thing. So the only difference here is that it's just bigger, basically.
It's,
It is, the actual, this building is bigger than the metal kit, but the footprint that is on the survey is the survey, is the footprint that was on the survey.
Right.
Because the metal kit was actually smaller
Uh-huh.
than what was on the survey, and this is the same size. Because we
Okay.
decided that if we had to start over with the building, we might as well get everything to conform to the dimensions that were in the survey, because we didn't want there to be any discrepancies. So, in the survey, it says 24 by 26, and so this building is going to be that footprint.
Mhm. But the original application was for 24 by 26, or was it for
So
smaller?
the survey said 24 by 26, and the original, the kit was a little bit smaller. I think it was 21 by 24.
Mhm.
so what's staked out is the 24 by 26, right?
Yes.
Great, thank you.
All right.
And, actually, Scott, I just have a question. I know, Hannah, I know in the last application you had provided some sort of like renderings as to like what the finished product would look like. Do you have any available for this proposal?
No, these are the only ones that we have. Those sort of colorized renderings were what the kit company supplied.
Okay, because I know usually we do like to see like kind of like what the coloring and materials are going to look like. I'll leave it up to the board what they would like.
I mean, we're happy to give you the paint color that's our house to indicate what that will be.
I think if you just gave us a photograph of the house and of the kind of a view toward where the building's going to be, and then, notated that it's going to be the same color, at least for me, that would be sufficient.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess I kind of agree with Kim. If it's possible, I know this is the second time you've been in front of us, and these variances, the 3 that you needed should have been brought up the first time around. And I apologize for that.
Yeah.
But if it's possible to colorize what you supplied, that would be great. I understand if you can't, but I mean, I know that the company you're using before did that for us. But if it's possible to get a better idea of, the color and everything else. I know what your house looks like. I know the color and all that kind of stuff. So if it's possible, that'd be great. If I understand if you can't. I'm not going to say we're not going to accept the application for, inability to do that. But if you can, that would be helpful.
I mean, I can ask them what they can do in terms of making a colorized version of this.
I would think they should be able to do it. I mean, it's pretty standardly done. I mean, I know it's not your bailiwick, but it should be theirs.
Okay. I mean, I also, it is going to be the same paint color as the house. The hardy board comes unpainted, and we're painting it to match the house with the same.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, concerns, requests for additional information?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm
right.
good.
All right, then I'd make a motion that we accept the application, subject to, if possible, supplying just a little bit, I don't want to say better renderings, but colorized renderings if possible, some more information on that. I understand what the color is going to be, from seeing your house before, but if you can give us a little bit more, that would be great. Do I have a second?
Second,
Okay. I'm in favor. Timothy Allenbrook,
I'm in favor also.
Catherine Clark,
yes.
Tim Econopoli.
Yes.
All right, Hannah, can you be here on June 16th?
Yes.
Okay, so what we'll do is, since we've accepted the application, we'll set it up for a public hearing, and as you know, your neighbors will be notified about what's going on and all that kind of stuff. And you'll give the same presentation on June 16th. We'll ask you probably some more questions, your neighbors may, et cetera. You've been through this before. Subject to whatever additional information you can give to us to help us. We'll see you on June 16th.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Time.
And again, going back to Kim and John, again, this is another application that's simultaneously before the planning board. And if I read the Cliff Note version of this thing, the planning board has taken the lead on the secret determination.
Yes.
That's right.
Is that right? Okay, so that's great. And then referrals to the town board or town planning board, and then the WAC.
Yes.
That's it? Okay.
That's it.
And do we know who did the last resolution on this case?
I could find out. Hold on one second.
Was it you, Catherine? I know you and I went to the site.
Yeah, I
together.
was kind of thinking it might have been. I can take it. I mean, on the
Looks like
road.
it was actually, looks like it was Tim Allenbrook.
Oh, well,
Well, he just took one, so
yeah, I took one. I think I did that one also.
I think you did.
Yeah, Baker.
Yeah.
I can do this one.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. Okay, I think that takes care of that application. So that takes care of our new business, and now we're on to the public hearings. The first public hearing is the Whitman matter, and I see that Catherine is here. So is there anybody here from the public on the Whitman application?
Yeah, I'm the next door neighbor on 14 Old Post Road. Hello.
All right, nice to meet you. What'll happen here is Ms. Whitman will explain the application. You will have an opportunity, along with the board members, to ask her questions about the application. Any questions, concerns, whatever you have. So once she's done with her presentation, I'll ask that you address whatever questions and concerns that you have. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Catherine, you've been through this before, so why don't you lead us through your application, what you want to do?
Okay. Let's see. So our intention is to build a modest house on an extremely modest small lot, and the size of the lot is the reason we're requesting the variances. The process has been going on for quite some time. A lot of that was because before we could get approval on the first round, we were shut down by COVID. And that created a long pause. And then we had to get back to work, Our company was closed down. We're working in construction. So getting back to be able to get to this project and then get started. When we got started, we realized that over the time that the building had been shut down and that all the hearings had stopped, the foundation had collected water, which had frozen, and the foundation was cracked it wasn't in very good shape to begin with, but the pause didn't help it. So we thought we were within our rights to just build the house as we best saw fit structurally by taking out the foundation and building what was approved on top of it. We got a stop work order and we begun the process to reapply. So if it seems like it's taking a long time, a lot of that is just the lengthy process of all the approvals we need. Our intention is to improve the neighborhood. If you see what's planned, it's a small house, but it's using the contemporary style, and it's going to be a big improvement and worth more money than the very rundown tiny ranch that was almost uninhabitable that we had on the site beforehand. So in order to, since we got approved for the first round of doing a house that looked very much like this one, but on top of the ranch. And when we realized we would be starting the process completely over, it made sense to go ahead and approach it as a new project by adding one more bedroom on top of the roof of the, where the roof of the existing ranch would have been. So making it a three-bedroom house. We also wanted to take the opportunity to move the house to the center of the lot, which just moves it a few feet over. We're asking that we move it 8 feet over to get it away from the driveway. The previous house was practically right on the driveway. And on our application, we show plantings along the south boundary to create privacy for the neighbor as part of our site plan. So we're asking for variances in the front yard, area variance of 94 feet. 150 feet is required and 56 feet is proposed. Area variance of 75 feet for the side yard setback. 100 feet is required, 25 feet is proposed. We need area variances on both sides for the side yard. On the other side, we're asking for a variance of 72 feet, 100 feet required, 28 proposed, and an area variance of 607.7 square feet for the total building coverage. Allowed building coverage is 17% of the lot, or 1,163 square feet. The proposed residence is 1,135 square feet. And the garage is 635. So the total coverage would be 1,770. And that's including that the garage was already there. So it's non-compliant, but existing.
All right, so that's not changing? Is it going to
No.
be, okay. Now, maybe I misunderstood. I thought that the house was generally going to be on the foundation of the prior house. Is there actually a foundation left from the prior house, or has that been removed?
That's been removed.
Okay.
Removed. Well, that original plan was to put it on the existing foundation. And then when we got sent back to square one, we said, well, maybe we could improve the situation and just create 8 feet of space between what it was between the driveway and the house.
All right, is it 8 feet closer to Mr., is it Del Borgo? Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, well, just correct me. I mispronounce names all the time, so that's why I ask. But
Yeah,
is it 8 feet closer to his property or?
It is,
Right.
and the only thing is his house, the front of his house lines up pretty much with the back of this proposed house. So even though it's moving closer, it's further forward than his house, closer to the road. So hopefully it wouldn't be too bothersome that.
What about, there's some indication that there was vegetation in between the two parcels, and now that vegetation has been removed or diminished in some fashion. Can you speak to that?
Yes, there were some dead trees that I talked to them about removing before we removed. And there was more privacy, but it was really mostly weeds. And we took them out to clean it up with the intention of planting nicer hydrangea or a more beautiful privacy screening.
Okay, I think from my perspective, as a part of this, I would, I'd like to see, a screening proposal and what you propose to put up to try to reestablish the privacy between the two parcels, especially in light of the fact that the house is going to be moving 8 feet closer. I know it may be in front, but it's 8 feet closer to the neighbor. And, at least get back to where you were with screening beforehand and perhaps even better. So there is more screening. I think that's important as part of this application.
Catherine, I had a question. I know that you've added more in the second story with the new design, but is the basic footprint of the first story the same as what we approved or looked at before?
It's extremely similar. There's maybe
what's the square footage of what we looked at before and what you have now on the first floor?
Let me see if I can get that quickly.
Or the
existing house footprint was 944, and the proposed is 1029. But let me see if I can figure out what was approved before.
Because I think before the only
pretty close. I don't have it handy, but I know it's a matter of inches on how it may have expanded a little bit.
Okay, because I know that the only thing you were adding before was kind of an entryway in terms of the footprint, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I had as well the outcropping on the north side.
Yeah, I don't recall that. I recall the front entranceway.
Yeah, that's what I recall.
That I recall.
I don't know if you would have had the outcroppings on the north side because you were 8 feet closer to the garage.
I know. I did have it approved after the meetings on a desk approval.
I'm not sure
The
what that means.
outcropping. So it was approved with Michael Trimble in a written approval for adding that because it was so minor.
That would have then changed the variance, I would have thought.
Right, because you need a variance for doing almost anything on this parcel because it's substandard.
Well, I can dig it up, but I got an approval to do that.
All right, Mr. Del Borno, do you have some questions, concerns you'd like to address to Ms. Whitman?
Thank you.
Sure.
Well, first of all, I'm grateful that the project is moving forward. Just the temporary state of this has not been great. I guess you've raised most of my bigger interests have to do with the privacy screening and making sure that it it's like, like hydrangea is maximum like 15 feet. Just making sure that it is like of significant height or that it would grow fast. That would be something I would be interested in. With respect to, there's also a stump there that is very unsightly from the tree that has been removed. And I'm wondering if you have any plans to, grind the stump and remove that as well.
Yeah, we intend to make the entire property, as small as it is, as beautiful as we can make it. So yeah, we would be taking out stumps and landscaping the whole yard.
Okay. And at the moment, I just have to ask because there was like a very minor attempt to do some kind of barrier, like some bushes or trees that are all dead now in the front of facing the road. I'm imagining that was very temporary, and that's not at all the kind of thing you have in mind, right?
Correct.
Okay. And I think you're correct that in terms of the relative position of these two houses, there's like maybe like a slight overlap. I'm just wondering if is the 8 foot like a critical necessary thing to realize this plan? It seems like, I understand that this is like a very, very compromised lot, and I certainly don't want to get in the way of, making something work, but I just like to understand, and I'm understanding that it's 8 feet beyond what was there before, correct?
Mm-hmm. We wanted to.
And so is there a reason for that?
The reason is the house was, I think, 30 inches from the driveway on the side of the house. So it's very tight, it's just too tight. When you're trying to pull cars in, you don't want to be worried you're going to hit your house.
So
When you
if I
look
can
out the
understand,
window, you don't want the car, feet from your window. You'd like to have a buffer.
so if I'm understanding this correctly, and I haven't been out there yet, I apologize for that. I will be out there, but you're moving the house away from the driveway
Mm-hmm.
that's existing to have some more space away from the driveway. And
Mhm.
that brings it closer to Mr. Del Borno's house.
Correct.
So is there a reason it couldn't just be, you can't maintain that same edge and lessen the size of the house, or does it become super awkward? Like what just
Well, we lessening the size of the house. It's already a very small footprint, number one, and I was trying to keep as much as possible what had been approved. I tried to keep the exact footprint and just add 1 bedroom upstairs because I didn't know how the planning board would view and the zoning board of appeals would view changing the entire design at this point.
Is there anything preventing you from, say, instead of moving at 8 feet, moving at 4 feet or something like that, just minimizing it?
Yeah.
I understand your concern about getting away from the driveway. That makes sense to me.
Mhm.
I understand Mr. Del Borno's concern about, being 8 feet closer. Is there something in the middle that will work for both of you? Say like, 4 feet, or just throwing that number out there.
Right. There is another thing that's in play, which is there's a large tree here, which we're showing remove, but the planning board has had some questions about that and whether it should be removed. And if it has to stay, I would like to move the house a little bit away from it, putting it 4 feet. We can do that, but it's just then more chance of the tree falling on the house.
And but if the house was kept in the same spot where it was, there would
It
also
was-
be that concern,
Correct.
which was the original proposal. They were going to keep the house there anyway.
Hmm.
Okay.
It appears to me that wherever the house is, if the tree's that large, I can't remember, I know I've gone by the property, depending on which way the wind blows, so to speak, it could fall on the house in the new location.
Yeah, it's pretty close, and it's a little bit
So I
scary
don't-
because it's a big old tree. So, and they may say it's okay if we take it down. I'm just raising it as one more consideration.
Yeah. The driveway I can understand. The tree thing I think is, I don't want to say irrelevant, but either way, the house is going to be in danger. Whether it stays where it originally was, is moved 4 feet or 8 feet. I think Catherine's point is well taken. But the driveway issue I can understand.
Mhm.
But I also understand Mr. Del Borno's concerns as well, especially given the fact that the vegetation has been removed. So you being closer and not having that vegetation is a concern, and any resolution is going to certainly have some conditions on vegetation and screening and that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
which you're going to want anyway, because you're going to want privacy.
Right, definitely.
Mr. Del Borno is.
Borgo, but yeah.
Borgo, okay.
Oh, there we go. Okay, thanks. When I see it spelled out, I have a better chance. Is there any particular part of that southern border that's more important to you in terms of both height and whether something's evergreen, whether it's deciduous? I mean, I think if I remember correctly, Catherine, you put arborvitae up in the front. Is that what was in the front?
Yeah, we put it up late in the fall and it didn't take.
Yeah, I think those are notoriously one. I don't know if you still have, if you have deer over in that area, but
Yes.
they're hard to keep healthy and deer love them. So, Mr. Del Borno, is there a part that's particularly more important to you or all of that southern border?
Well, generally the part that is currently like empty is the back part. And as Miss Whitman pointed out, that is where the house resides. So, you know, I guess I would want some assurance that that is a, you know, it's a significant privacy hedge, that it is like hardy, and that it is something that in the winter time doesn't just completely reveal the property, because they are really on top of each other, these two properties. And you know, I get the sense that this is going to be a tasteful house, and that there's probably going to come with a lot of nice, you know, landscaping. I totally get that it's an improvement, so I'm not trying to be overly difficult. I'm just, you know, wanting to, you know, not have to feel like I'm on top of another property, and I think that would be probably mutual. I would think.
Mhm.
And I also had a question. So I don't know how you all resolve these kinds of things, but you know, I would want to make sure that it is a substantial, you know, privacy screen. And then I just was curious what you're planning with the garage, which is kind of in sad shape at the moment, and is, you know, also visible from that vantage point.
We're planning on just repairs for the garage. So once we get the house done, that would mean just new siding, perhaps a new roof and a new garage door. Fresh paint.
Okay.
Okay. And it would stay that sort of red, or
Oh, we'd probably paint it a dark gray just to make it disappear somewhat, or a dark green.
okay. So I have no more questions. I've
Okay.
said what I need to say. Thank you. Thanks
Thank
for hearing
you.
me out.
Thank you. Any other board members have any questions, concerns? One thing I would like, okay, I'm sorry.
Actually, that big tree, what kind of tree is that? You know?
I think it's a, I'm not remembering, but I think it's a maple.
Oh,
I think it's a maple as well. Yeah, I just looked at it.
I think my only hesitancy right here is again, I'm not sure the 8 feet is warranted, and you're going to need a side yard variance either way, no
Mhm.
matter where you have the house. So
Right.
it maybe is just adjustment if if it's moved back a little bit and maybe it's 4 feet instead of 8 feet, that kind of stuff. My biggest concern on this thing though is to and I'm not criticizing you because this just came up.
Mhm.
Is a vegetation plan and seeing some plans, for what is proposed. So we have an idea, and Mr. Del Borgo has a good idea too, and some assurance of what is going to go in there. And so I myself want to see a vegetation screening plan before I decide, before the board decides this application.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now, I also don't want to hold you up. So, I mean, I think one thing we could do, and John and Kim, please chime in as well as the board members, is we could hold the meeting open and subject to reviewing this vegetation screening plan. And if we deem it to be appropriate and it meets with our approval, then perhaps I could have a resolution available at the next meeting. We've done that in the past. And I think that might be fair here because this is the first time the issue has really come up. So John and Kim, I don't know what your feelings are on something like that.
I think that's a good way to proceed. I mean, if there something unexpected comes up, you may have to kick it over. But if the plan is something that contains the detail that you're looking for, and the board is happy with that, then we can close the public hearing, and we can think of a way that night to build that plan into whatever the approval resolution is.
Right. Okay.
And we
So-
should have the plan submitted, before the
Well
next meeting.
beforehand. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that can be baked as we prepare the resolution, and then when it's held at the public hearing, we can adjust it as necessary. But I like that idea, Scott. I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
And I would think that particularly in this instance, that the vegetation plan should be pretty specific.
Yeah, why don't you talk about that a little bit, Catherine, so that Catherine Whitman can understand. I think the more clearly that she can understand what the board expects, I think the better the chances that everything can fit together smoothly at the next meeting.
Well, and I'm really saying this based on the location of these two properties and kind of everything that's gone on. If there's going to be an evergreen, I think it should say what kind and approximately how many feet. Norway spruce, 6 to 8 feet. If it's going to be a lilac, I think it should give us some kind of indication of what size plant you're beginning with, not one that's 2 feet high and may grow up to be 15 feet in 15 years.
And the closeness of the spacing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
that,
I think ideally what you're talking about is a landscape plot plan for that area, so that there's a plan that identifies what plants are going to be there and actually plots them on the map showing the locations and distances. Am I right?
Yes.
yes, and so that everybody can see and evaluate not only what will be there in the beginning, but what potentially will be there over a few years.
Right. And and just assure us that it's going to be sufficient for, giving the screening and privacy that the two of you want.
Mhm.
All right, so Catherine, do you know what we're looking for?
Yep.
Okay. I don't know if you can submit something, the sooner the better, so we can take a look at it, but
I want to, can I say something on that, Scott?
Absolutely.
Too? So I definitely agree, the sooner the better. Ms. Whitman, just in case there's something the board members want, something extra, the more earlier that you can submit it, it gives us a little room to smooth out wrinkles if there are any before
Okay.
the meeting.
Mhm.
Mr. Del Borgo, I wanted to make sure that you knew that you don't have to wait until the next meeting to see what is submitted. If you contact Chris Hedges, who is the board secretary, maybe about a week before the meeting, I think that's when Ms. Whitman should have, the final version of whatever she's submitting should be in before the board then. If you contact Chris Hedges, she'll be able to provide you with a copy of that. And then you can take a look at it, and that way you're not, whatever comments you may have at the second session of the public hearing, you'll have had some time to digest the map and, formulate your comments instead of having to do it on the spot at the next public hearing session.
Thank you, John.
And what is the timing of that?
The next is June 16th. Is that what Chris said?
That is correct, June 16th. Can you make that date?
Okay, and
Mhm.
me? Sure.
Yes.
I just want to make sure I understand. I just want to make sure I understand. Is there a resolution on the 8-foot, 4-foot, the tree thing, or is that like pending?
Well, we don't have a plan right now. On the 8-foot, 4-foot thing, we'll consider that. I mean, that's a consideration. There's multiple factors that we have to consider in our resolution, and we try to give the minimum variance required, and that's really where I'm coming from on that. I understand the driveway concern, the tree concern. I'm not sure I'm there on that, but can the same thing that's being requested be achieved by a 4-foot versus an 8-foot kind of thing? And so, but the proposal I'm saying is that we'll keep the public hearing open until June 16th. I will have a draft, and I'm drafting it. I've been assigned the case. I'll have something drafted, and I'm going to do a site inspection and all that kind of stuff. And I'll have a proposed resolution ready in case we're able at the conclusion of the matter to have a resolution. And then that's also going to be contingent on a sufficient screening and vegetation plan.
And Catherine, when you stake things out, could you also just either with a different color stake or something indicate where the prior house was, so that that 8 feet is very visible to us?
Mhm.
So have the new house proposal and where the old one was, and we can, and that's a great idea.
Yeah.
All right, so with that,
I do have one question.
okay.
Kim, if you can go back to the plot, the plots page.
Sure, hold on just 1 second.
Yeah. I was wondering, how many bedrooms did the original house have?
It had 2.
2. So you're increasing to 3?
Yeah, and the septic is, the existing septic is workable for 3, and I had an engineer look at it, and
Oh,
he's
okay.
going to write a letter.
Okay, never mind, Kim. That was just my concern.
I just found it too.
All right.
Okay.
Does that have to be approved by the Department of Health or no?
He said he doesn't think it does because it's reusing it.
And that'll be more a planning board concern too.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, okay.
It's kind of
A moot point for us.
well, no, I don't say it's moot. I mean, David Tobias would certainly say septic systems are important.
Critical.
So, critical, exactly.
And
So
that's what it must
I'll
have
let him
been.
know you asked about the septic system, or somebody did.
Thanks.
It's kind of an inside joke. I apologize. All right. Unless I hear anything else, what my proposal is, I'd like to make a motion to keep the public hearing open and ask that you submit as soon as possible vegetation and screening plan. Make sure that the old house is staked out, the new house is staked out, so we can deal with this 8 foot, 4 foot, or whatever foot movement of the existing structure, from the existing structure. And then I will tell you that I will have a resolution in draft ready, and if we are able to move forward after the public hearing, presumably is closed at the next hearing, we'll do so. If not, we may have to carry it over another month, but hopefully we won't. We don't want to delay this. So that is the motion, is that we'll keep this public hearing open, subject to receiving these items. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. I'm in favor. Tim Allenbrook?
Second, repeating.
Okay. Catherine?
Yes.
Tim Econopoli?
Yes.
Okay, so
And
we're going to keep the public hearing open until the next round, or the June 16th. Get all that information to us, and hopefully we can resolve it that evening. Okay.
Okay,
Scott,
thank you.
I wanted to say one other thing to
Okay.
Mr. Del Borgo before he goes. And just so that if you're interested enough to just get a better understanding, I think with regard to understanding, the ZBA doesn't make these decisions at random. They're actually applying a test that is required by law. So there's a balancing test, and there are mandated factors that the board has to consider. And so if you go on the town website and you take a look at the area variance application form that's on the town website, it'll explain to you exactly what the test is and what the factors are, and it'll help round out your understanding of what the board's doing. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank you, John. Okay, I apologize. We always get behind, but it's important to, really dig into these things. So the next matter on is the Shapiro case. Is there somebody here for that?
Hi, yeah. This is Eli Sands from Wagner Hodgson. I'm the landscape architect on the project.
Okay. And anybody from the public here on the matter?
Well, the owners are here and our neighbors are as well.
Okay. So if anybody has, the neighbors, in particular, if you have any questions or concerns after the presentation, please voice them. Eli, you want to take it away? And
actually, I'll let Stephen O'Brien take
Okay.
On this.
So here we are at 57 Upper Hook Road with the Shapiro residence.
okay, I can't really hear you. Is Mr. O'Brien there?
Yeah, I think he's working with his mic, but
Okay.
he can't do it. I'll run the presentation.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like I'll just go ahead and start it. So this is an application for a zoning variance for 57 Upper Hook Road for Lisa and Michael Shapiro. It is for the installation of a new pool. What we are seeking from the board is 2 variances for rear and side yard locations for the pool and the associated structures. And when we presented the last month, we talked through some issues and we got everything staked out, and I believe the board has visited. The intent of this pool is to not be disruptive to the surrounding neighborhood or the neighbors themselves. We're trying to make a very private and a clean design in an area that we would describe as unusable space. It is sloped and it has a rocky understructure, and the property where we have a usable flat space currently has some really beautiful existing garden beds. So looking at the opportunities where we had to put a pool, this was the most ideal siting. And going through this, you can see in this rendering, what we're trying to achieve is sort of a pool barrier by putting in a wall. And that wall will be made from cultured local stone, whether that's field stone or bluestone, but it's going to be matching the existing wall aesthetics that are already on the site. We'll also be putting in a pool fence, a 4-foot high pool fence that surrounds the other 3 sides of the pool where that 4-foot wall barrier does not exist. And we'll be screening additionally by using additional plantings, including pepper bushes along the neighbor's property, and as well as some larger evergreen trees where it is visible along the driveway. Speaking to that, there are 2 comments we have recently received that we would also want to make the zoning board aware of. That I emailed Chris this afternoon some revised drawings, actually, because our neighbors, the neighbors had walked the site on Tuesday, and we also had our planning board meeting on Monday, and we received comments from both of them. So this was our attempt to answer those comments for today's meeting. So I apologize for the late notice. I know people probably didn't get an opportunity to review these drawings in detail. If we can go to the L100 layout drawing that I've sent first, we can talk through the neighbor's comment. So on this drawing, you can see in blue, those are the callouts that have changed since the last submittal. The neighbors, when walking the property, were looking at the locations of the pool equipment and propane tanks, and they requested that the pool fence completely enclose them. After speaking with the Shapiros and Stephen, we looked at our options, and we are going to extend the fence to completely enclose the pool equipment and propane tanks now. We have shared this drawing with the neighbors, and well, they can speak for themselves, but we believe that this met the needs that they were asking for. We are also going to be providing some additional screening on the inside by adding some more of the hornbeam hedge to also make sure that Shapiros also don't have to look at the pool equipment all the time. So that was the first change that had to be made since we applied. The second comment we got is a little bit more nuanced. The planning board, if we could want to zoom in on that sort of lower right-hand corner of the pool. The planning board made us aware that by having the fence, our 4-foot pool fence directly on top of the pool wall where it turns around there, we were required to get another variance because that height exceeded 6 feet, which the Rhinebeck zoning code says that no wall or fence should exceed 6 feet. And currently in that location, we had it was at 8 feet high. So the first question I would like to ask the zoning board before we go into this possible solution is that the type of variance that we think that could be added to a resolution today without having to extend the public meeting to be open for another month?
John, I think I'll rely on your counsel for that, or Kim.
Okay. Well, I think that potentially the answer is yes. I think that it's been the practice of this board to allow amendments like this in the past, post application. I think the board would probably like to hear more about it. I think that if the amendment would be something that would achieve a solution that is something that both the homeowners and the neighbors are in accord on, I think that that's something, that would encourage the board to say yes to an amendment and to move forward without costing any more time. The only thing I would say is that, well, let's hear what the neighbors say. I guess the only other question I have, Scott, is whether it would be necessary, in the board's opinion, to hold the public hearing open one more meeting. That could be done in the same way that we were talking about on the Whitman application. That could be done without costing the applicant any more time by prepping a resolution for the next meeting even though the public hearing was left open.
Yeah, you read my mind. I mean, that was my thought, is that we could hold the public hearing open and then have a resolution ready so that, typically once we close a public hearing, we have 62 days to render the resolution, but we would have it ready that evening so we wouldn't hold you back. I have a question, and I apologize if I unfortunately did not get an opportunity to get out there, but the 4-foot fence, how does it get to 8 feet? Explain that again for me.
So if you go actually to I think it's drawing L503. It's like the second to last one.
Is the entire fence going to be 8 feet?
No, it's only in these sections where we had
Okay.
the fence on top of the high point of the wall.
And-
So if you go back to the original application, oh yeah, I have elevations there.
Just tell me when to
So go
stop.
up one more drawing. So you zoom-
Okay, oh, there we go.
Yeah, or go down one more.
Go down.
Five-
The one that I was
L503.
just. 503.
There we go.
Okay.
If we zoom in on
Oh, I
detail
see.
3
Yeah.
at the bottom of the page, you can see right there where in the foreground where we have the fence right on top of the wall. Because it's right on top of the wall, the planning board was considering that a full 8 feet. And so we would be asking for a variance to just allow for this very small section of the fence where it exceeds 6 feet to be approved. If not, we do have a solution that we have worked out with the Shapiros drawn in those new drawings. But we would first like to try and see if we could get this variance approved in today's meeting, or with the resolution idea that you suggested.
Yeah, I'd just like to have an idea of how big an area you're talking about. I mean, is it, you
So
said
it's
it's a small,
Yeah, it's really like about 6 feet on each side of the pool. Is that right? Something like that?
Essentially, with about maybe another 8 feet on the left side on the return. We have to,
Okay.
make, because it goes down, so we have to get past 7 feet and we have to get past 6 feet. And so there's a little bit there.
Mr.
Because
Sands,
on
what's
the-
on the other side of the wall from the perspective that we're looking at right now?
The pool.
Okay, so there's so that wall area there is really part of the foundation of the pool, right?
Correct.
The pool patio. Okay, thank you.
Hey, Eli, I think I'm in now. I called into my phone.
Oh,
Yes,
great.
we can
Thanks,
hear you.
Stephen.
Yay.
So it's possibly, and the fence variance isn't going to be exact foot by foot. It's going to, on that left return, I guess it'd be the southern part of the property, right? Does the wall go along on that left side? Do you know what am I asking?
Yeah, so if you go back up to the L100 drawing, so the layout drawing on that same set.
On the original set,
Yeah, the original set.
Oh, okay.
did L100, right?
Mm-hmm. So if you zoom in a little bit on that corner again, so you can see that sort of dashed line that's sort of in the middle of the pool coping right there on that south side. That's the back of the retaining wall. So you can see as you go down that retaining wall does slide to the north west a little bit. And so we have the fence directly on top of that.
Right.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of a question to kind of bring up here. I mean, technically, we don't have an 8-foot high fence. We have a 4-foot high wall that's acting as our pool barrier. And then we have essentially a 4-foot high safety railing so that people don't fall off the wall, because we have more than a 3-foot drop or whatever it is. So we're required to have a railing. So, I mean, is it still constituted as a fence? Because we have two different things going on here. We essentially have a railing and a barrier. So does it still constitute as an 8-foot fence?
Well, that's what the planning board is indicating, and I guess it's really the CEO is the one that has to make that determination.
Okay.
I mean, and our goal, as we talked about before, is just at the last meeting, is to make sure that, you know, you have whatever variances you need for the project, that we get them right.
I know that the zoning law, I don't have the zoning law in front of me, but I know they do have a section on fences, and I believe that they do define what a fence is. I don't know it off the top of my head, but I can take a look at that just to confirm. But I believe it probably, I think in order to really determine what a fence is, you go to what the purpose of the fence is, which is, you know, if it's to block it. So I can verify that, but that might help matters.
Yeah, that would be great, Kim, because I mean, these are really
So,
small sections
you know,
that this happens.
When I was looking at the code,
Did you say
Was
that,
somebody
Eli?
Eli?
Yeah.
Was somebody talking?
Well, maybe he got frozen. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
can you guys hear me? I'm sorry, my internet
Yep.
connection just dropped out. Apologies.
Yep.
Oh, so when I was reviewing the code, and this is also kind of, I guess, I don't know if this is for definitions, but the code says that any fencing which exceeds 6 feet in height and or which consists of a solid fence or wall that does not allow for the passage of views shall be subject to this code. So, you know, we do have a fence that has 1.5-inch slats in it. It does allow for some view through it. I don't know if that also meets that definition.
So I have a suggestion on this issue, Scott. I think that we can take a look at, Kim and I can take a look at the, you know, what the definition of offense is, and to make a recommendation ourselves to the board whether we think a variance would be required here. But my suggestion to you would be that the plan really hasn't changed much, and if the board is disposed to, you know, if the board members are just disposed to grant the variance for this, because this has been on the plan for a while, and I don't see this particular variance, you know, for this element of this running afoul. You know, I'm just running the factors in my head. I think this probably fits well with the other variances that have been requested in connection with this application. I'm just thinking that it's best to try to just find the shortest distance between A and B here.
Well, is that doing what we have suggested in the last 2 applications? Because even if we close the public hearing tonight, you know, the resolution is not going to be read until the June 16th meeting. So if we keep this open for the purposes of exploring whether we need the variance or not, if we don't, we don't. If we do, then, you know, I guess we deal with it and keep the public hearing open, and then we close it and then have the resolution.
Yes, I agree. I agree. And no time is lost.
And no time is lost. That's important, as it's May. And I would feel more comfortable with that, because I'd like to have some more information about how much of the fence is going to be above the 6 feet. You know, whether it's 6.5, 7, 8, I don't really care. How much is going to be out of code compared to the entire fence, you know, just to get an idea of what we're talking about and whether it actually even applies.
Did you have a cross section through the perpendicular to the length of the pool?
Particular to the length of the pool. If you like, yeah,
In other words,
I have the fence elevations. You go back to the L503. Don't know if I have that. If you go back,
Oh, that looked.
There we go.
I don't know if I have the fence on that. Those are for not in the wall. Go back. Zoom out. Go up to L501. Yeah. So that was more of just cut through for for Stephen to show the schematic and the board to show the schematic design of the pool. So no, I guess I don't have that that perpendicular cross section exactly. If you go to L503 again.
Yeah, I have depending on where we end up with this, I have a couple of questions.
Right there.
Yeah, so you can see that this is where we have the elevations of the north and south of the fence. So you can see where it's landing on the wall.
I think to the right on the upper drawing, you have the 4-foot dimension and the finished grade up to the top of the coping, I guess. And I would just encourage you to make, because when I was out there, it looked like it was going to be more than 4 feet to my, and I'm not being a surveyor, so it's maybe completely awful, but for your sake.
We are doing a little bit of regrading in front of the pool, so we'll make sure that we are going to nail that 4-foot dimension.
Yeah, all right.
So looking at this, I think might answer some of my questions. So the pool, and then you'll do excavating so that the pool and all of that patio area behind the pool is at the same level. And then is there going to be another wall behind that patio, or does the land just slope up quite precipitously?
The land slopes up quite precipitously, yeah. So we actually have a trench drain on the other side to catch water coming down so it doesn't come into the pool, and we're managing that existing slope.
And so
there's a couple catch basins as well.
And so then, based on the discussion with the neighbors, you're just going to extend this back fence, maybe another couple of sections to.
Yeah, I think it was about 10 feet offset.
And because that fence is only 4 feet and it's not on, at that point, it's definitely only 4 feet. We don't need any additional variances for that extension, do we? Or a change in any of the ones requested?
No, I don't believe so.
I didn't.
It's only when you get above 6 feet that you need it.
Okay, that's.
I think that's correct me if I'm wrong, John or Kim.
Yeah, it's if it's over 6 feet within the setback.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and so then on that overhead view, where you showed the plantings and everything, the fence is now going to come closer. This wasn't the one I was thinking of.
Is it the one with the rendering that I had up first?
No, I was looking for the overhead one where they showed, I don't think on the revised drawings that you sent today, did it show where the new fence was going to go?
Yes, it did. It did.
Oh, it did? Oh, okay. It's that.
Yeah, if you go back to that.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is the revised, this grading plan was if the variance, it was showing what our solution was going to be if the variance could not get amended. But this is not ideal for a few reasons. One, it creates some sort of awkward geometries of the fence alignment. Two, it takes away from the aesthetic appeal of the wall because we're not going to have the clean, straight 4-foot drop along the entire front. We have to do some regrading at that corner, at both corners, to just sort of get that adjustment to work, but still have the fence turn around. And we also, at that turnaround, our solution really, in order to keep the guardrail and an aesthetic look, we're just simply moving the fence to be not on top of the wall anymore. It's now on the patio.
I see. Yeah, that's not as nice. It doesn't seem like.
All right. I know there's some neighbors here. So do the neighbors want to speak and be heard since you've been sitting through this?
Yeah, sure. I'm Jill. This is Jen.
Hello.
Hi. And we've spoken to Mr. and Mrs. Shapiro about our questions and had them answer. I think where we are right now is just wanting to understand and because these drawings are not our expertise, the evergreen plantings along the driveway side, those are planned, correct, Eli?
Correct. Yes.
And it looks like what, 3 new?
5.
5? Oh, sorry.
5.
Got it. Along there. Would love to know kind of, just the size of those trees, but then also on the north east side, it looked as if the plantings right next to the pool, the end of the north side of the pool, I don't know what those will be.
Are you talking about on the north side of the pool? So the ones that would be against your property line?
That's right. Yeah.
Because we saw on that rendering, which we just saw, just that fence didn't come across the top of the pool. It just comes around the patio. So just to understand what will be there as privacy barriers.
Of course,
Maybe,
yeah. So I can talk it through right now if you'd like.
Can we go back to that?
Yeah, so the 5 trees are going to be evergreen trees, most likely. We're still working out the exact species, but they're probably going to be a fast-growing evergreen, most likely a Norway spruce or some type of green giant cedar. They'd be coming in at a range of, I don't want to speak ahead on Lisa and Michael's behalf, but what we're showing in that drawing are trees shown at approximately, I'd say between 10 and 14 feet when they're going to come in. We may, depending on where on the grade that they're sitting, they might be a little bit taller or a little bit smaller, but that's something that we still are refining slightly. And the plants that are on your side of the property against the fence, those are called sweet pepper bushes, which is a clethra. They are a large, robust shrub with a beautiful flower, and they also attract butterflies and pollinators. And they would grow to a size where you would not see the fence.
Okay.
What about the pool? Will we see the pool? Because they stop at the fence line, it looks like, but then the pool piece,
We
right to the
were
right.
hoping, our intent is that the existing evergreen trees that are there are going to provide some screening, but we have been in talks with Lisa and Michael about, making sure that sort of privacy barrier between your property and theirs is maintained. So we can add, while it's not drawn on this drawing, we would certainly add plantings there to screen from the pool as well. So whether they're more sweet pepper bushes or a different type of ornamental shrub, something would be going there.
Okay.
I have a question about, is there room for any additional evergreen material on that part? Because I know some of those trees that are there, the barrier on the lower branches isn't as much as it used to be. I may not have quite said that properly.
No, absolutely. I think, there's a few ways we can approach managing those sort of the understory of those evergreens. One of the tricky things about putting in new evergreen shrubs, especially in our area, I'm sure that many of you are aware of, our deer will quickly go after them. Even the things that they're not supposed to eat, if it's a harsh winter, they'll go after it. And so unless you're putting in a boxwood, which is a little too lollipoppy and not really fitting with what's going on at the house right now, putting in a low evergreens are a little difficult. That being said, there are plenty of good understory deciduous shrubs that have a really nice thicket and sometimes even a color on their woody parts in the winter and fall that would provide excellent screening underneath there.
Perhaps we can put something in the resolution that will address that issue, that to the extent that what is provided on the plans is not sufficient to give the screening that everybody wants here, that the applicant agrees that they'll provide additional plantings of some sort to make sure that happens. I mean, I know that's kind of vague, But
That's completely clear. We will definitely update this. We can update this plan very easily with the enhanced full screening that we'll do on that side.
I think that would be helpful because that would take care of the concerns of the neighbors, and they're obviously legitimate concerns, and you want the privacy too.
Right.
So,
And the pool is gonna go to the left side of the house?
Say again?
The pool is gonna be to the left side of the house?
Left side of the house.
Which direction are you
Which
facing?
direction?
I'm to the right of the house.
You're to
Going-
the right of the house.
Going down Upper Hook. I'm on the right side of the house. If you're looking
Oh.
at the house, I'm on the
Yeah,
right
so
side.
the house is behind, you're on the right side of the house. So if you're looking at the house, it's on the right side.
Right, so the pool is gonna be behind the fence where they have all the gardens and stuff. It's gonna be
Yes.
behind there.
Mhm.
Okay.
Could you, Barbara, could you just identify yourself for the record and the minutes?
Hi, I'm Barbara Stapleton. I'm 46 Upper Hook Road.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
thank you.
I just had a couple of other clarifying questions. Looking at this view that Kim has up right now, the fence does go along that 12-foot section. There's the little jog after the shrubbery that you talked about. I can't remember what the name of it was.
Mhm.
And then it jogs down, the fence is there, and then the fence is along that 12-foot side too.
No,
So-
it's actually not. So the fence does that
Oh.
jog there to complete the barrier. That wing wall that's coming off of the pool and parallel to the pool, that's holding the grade for the patio and everything above it. The wall on that northeast side where you see that 12-foot, that's all
Okay.
going to be 4 feet high. So we wouldn't need to put the fence on top of there.
Oh, but that also makes the pool more visible from the neighbors, correct?
Well, if we put the fence on top of the pool wall, that would be the most visible thing because that would be additional height. So they're only going to have a 4-foot view, and like I just said, we're going to be doing a robust planting screen there, and we will show that.
Yeah, a revision and a more robust vegetation plan, I think, will be helpful for everybody.
Of course.
On that, so I'm sorry, I know I'm repeating myself. I just want to make sure I understand this properly. You have the sweet pepper bushes, and the fence goes along there.
Mhm.
And then does the fence jog back toward the pool, or is
Yes.
all of the fence jogs back toward the pool? And then when you turn east again, that's
Mhm.
not fenced. That's just the retaining wall.
Correct.
Okay, so that's basically then,
Free for all.
that feels to me like that's been the most critical part in terms of vegetation, because that's just a straight shot from the neighbor's house into the pool.
Yeah.
Understood. Yeah, we will add in more screening there for a revision.
Are Jill and are you guys, you're still on, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we're here. Yeah, you can see a straight shot from our one of our bedrooms on the second floor of our house, like right down into that area. So the more kind of screening that there is, I think probably the better.
Okay, and you're going to submit that, right, Eli?
Yeah, I'll get that out very, very shortly, by end of week.
Okay. And again, folks, when it's received, you can go down and take a look at it. So you're not seeing it for the first time at the next meeting.
Great, great.
John made a very good point in one of the last applications.
And actually, Eli, if since you're going to be making some revisions to it anyway, you know, I know that there was some back and forth with the board as to, you know, what areas of the fence are going to be in that setback and over 8 feet high. Perhaps you could just mark that with a different color on the map, so it's just easier to kind of visualize, you know, where that area for the potential variance would be.
For sure. I will, yeah, I'll update on that on the set.
Thank you.
And
So-
we're also going to need measurements for that area that's within where the fence is within the setback. We're going to need measurements from grade to the top of the fence so that we can quantify if a variance is required and the board decides to allow the amendment. We're going to need to be able to quantify what the measurement is for how much of a variance is required.
So my understanding is, so the fence is within the setback, you just need top of fence and bottom of fence measurements at the corners, or would that be sufficient?
Yes, and if you can do it, if you can put a mark on the map that shows 6 feet, so we can see how much is in excess of 6 feet, just so it can be marked on the application.
Absolutely, no problem.
And I just have sorry, Scott, I just have a quick question. I know that you said you're moving the fence to enclose around the filter and the propane tank, but those fixtures aren't moving, or the tank, I mean, those are still measured the same way. It's just you're just moving the fence around it,
Yes.
right? Okay, thank you.
Kim, could you put up the last drawing you had up one more time?
Yes.
Sorry to be such a nudge. Yeah, if you could just enlarge it a little. There we go. That's fine. So Eli, on the southern part of the pool, where we have that return, you know, the wall comes down, the retaining wall goes all the way around the pool. But on that southern part, you have the fence right there, right?
Say again, sorry.
On the southern part, that's where you have the fence on top of the retaining wall, is on the southern part.
Yes, I have it there, and we also have it, well, not on this drawing, because this is showing the altered idea, that the altered proposal we had, if the variance did it, but it would also be on the north side as well, for jogs back.
Oh, okay, so that would help then with some of the visibility, right? Doesn't, I mean, I still think there needs to be more, a denser planting or something up on that northern side, but the fence is going to be on that, or only if we?
The fence will be on the wall, but it's not going to help. It's not going to screen the wall. It's really in that location that's providing the 4-foot barrier for New York code. So really, the wall will still be exposed in that area we've been discussing. So it's still going to need the same level of vegetation.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And how about the drainage? I see the drainage is going to the east, right?
So right now we are probably looking at the drainage actually most likely daylighting to the west. We have put in a couple catch basins. You can see that we have an area drain in that planting area right there. We also have a trench drain at the side of the pool, and we would be daylighting that out of to the east in the existing area. But I have to confirm that with Stephen. Am I right about that?
And where is that going to drain to?
It will daylight onto the client's yard to the west.
And I'm almost afraid to ask, any other questions and concerns? No, this is why we do this, because this is great discussion. I'm glad that it makes me feel good to see neighbors coming out and the owner and everybody working together for a good solution here. So I think all the questions have been very well taken, and And I appreciate that. And everybody's been very civil and decent, which I also appreciate. So again, any other questions and concerns before I make a motion? And that motion will be that we keep the public hearing open as we've done with these other prior applications. And we'll be able to, in the interim, decide whether variances, a variance and the size of the variance is required. You'll be able to provide us with a better, not better, but an augmented or enhanced vegetation screening plan to address some of the concerns of the neighbors. And then hopefully all that will be determined. I mean, we'll have a good handle on this application by June 16th. And hopefully we'll be in a position to close the public hearing, and we'll have a draft resolution ready so that you're not delayed, but that the concerns of the neighbors are addressed. Okay, so with that, I'll make a motion that we keep the public hearing open and please in the interim supply the information that we need to determine whether we need that additional variance and the vegetation plan. Do I have a second?
Oh, second.
Okay, I'm in favor of that. Catherine Clark?
Yes.
Okay, Tim Econopoli?
Yes.
Tim Allenbrook?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll wait to see that stuff, and we'll see you on June 16th. Can everybody be here on June 16th? By the way, I should have asked that question.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay. All right. Great. We'll see you then. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank
Scott,
you.
before we move on, just to let you know, at the last meeting, we had the planning board be lead agency, and they have established that this is a type 2 action, so
Yep.
there's no further review.
Yep. Thank you. All right. And last but not least, we have a public hearing on the Herm application, and I believe Mr. Herm is here.
I am.
I apologize for the lateness, but had to be done. And I think you know what we need to do here. Is there anybody here for Mr. Herm's application? All right, well, we still have to go through the formalities. So if you could just take us through the application.
Sure. Joel Herm, 443 Mill Road. We're proposing to put in a small micro hydro turbine generator device on our existing 18-inch penstock on our existing dam that was built by the Sucleys in 1889. We are proposing to only use the electricity generated to power our new passive house on the property. And we need two variances, rear yard variances. One, you can see the proposed micro hydro generator in the darker tube-like part of the drawing. That's right on the property line that we share with Mensch Grasmere. And my wife Susan and I have a 50-year easement that's in the dashed line with Jonathan and Stephen Mensch that allows Susan and myself to install a hydro generator on the dam that we co-own, if you will. So the one variance is for the actual turbine generator device, which will be right on the property line, so it's clearly within the rear yard setback. And the other variance that we need is for a pylon that will support a small control box that will have some electronics that control the turbine generator.
Okay. Before I forget, I do want to acknowledge that we did receive a letter from Dr. Bert Nelson dated May 14th, 2021, requesting that we put over for consideration this application until the planning board has acted. And unfortunately, we can't do that. this is a public hearing and, we move forward independently of the planning board. So
Right.
I did want to
understood.
acknowledge Dr. Nelson's letter but unfortunately we can't grant his request.
And if I can just say, Scott, while the board does, we just have to wait for the planning board to issue seeker before we can, before the
Right.
ZBA can finally act, which they have issued. This is a type 2 action. Typically, we do, work in conjunction with the planning board in that if the ZBA does decide to grant its approvals, there is typically contingencies that it's in keeping with whatever other approvals may be needed, which does include the planning board.
Right, and as if I'm reading it correctly, I believe the planning board addressed us on March 1st and indicated that this was a type 2 action.
Yes.
Under seeker and made that determination. So, we do work. We don't work totally independently. We work in conjunction, but anyway. So, do any of the board members have any questions or concerns about this application?
I do not.
Okay. And again, there's nobody here.
It's very exciting.
Excuse me?
It's very exciting.
Yes. Is there anybody in the public? I think we're down to not too many folks, but is there anybody here who wants to comment on this? All right. I think we can move ahead because the secret determination has been made. And as I recollect, I think we're waiting for a response. Are we still waiting for a response from the WAC?
I think we are. Chris can, I have a check mark there, but I
Yeah.
don't think I should have put that check mark.
I did send the referral request and have not received anything back at this time.
Okay.
They technically have, I think Chris said it was sent on the 27th, so they have 30 days to respond.
Right. But that doesn't preclude us from closing the public hearing because we have
Correct.
62 days to act. So that'll expire and we'll have that information by then. All right. If there aren't any other questions or concerns, I'd make a motion that we close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. I'm in favor. Tim Econopoli,
Yes.
Catherine Clark,
Yes.
Timothy Allenbrook.
Yes.
All right. All right, Mr. Herman, what that means is that we've closed the public hearing. We have 62 days. Yes.
Oh, just before we went on, I did want to just ask Mr. Herm if I could work directly with you to set up a site visit.
Of course.
I think, Chris, we have his email and phone number.
Yes.
Okay.
And Catherine, keep me in the loop on that because I'd like to go out and check this out too.
I have a feeling most of us will want to come and see it. So it might possibly involve 2 visits, but we'll try and do it in one. But I just have a feeling that there's a lot of interest in seeing what you're doing there.
Okay.
So, Mr. Herm, because we've closed the public hearing, we actually have 62 days in order to render a decision. We do not take 62 days. That's not what we do. We do it usually the next time around. So we'll have a resolution that we'll read on June 16th. You do not have to be present, but if you have nothing better to do on a Wednesday evening, you're more than welcome to hang around and listen to the resolution.
No, I love this stuff, and I do appreciate all the work that all the boards at Rhinebeck do, because I know it's really hard, and you probably don't want to be up at 9 o'clock doing this as well, but we really appreciate you being careful about all the projects that you work on, so thanks.
Thank
It
you.
makes Rhinebeck better.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, the board members put on a lot of time and effort, and but it's kind of a labor of love, and I don't have anything better to do anyway, so what the heck.
What the heck?
So anyway, Catherine will coordinate doing a site visit out there so we can, look around, poke
Yeah,
around.
anytime we're here, so.
Yeah, and then we'll have that resolution ready at the next meeting on June
Fantastic.
16th.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. Thanks, everybody. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening. Bye.
All right, I think we finally gotten to, that's it for the public hearings. Old business, I have Mike's Tree Service, and that's mine. And I hope everybody had an opportunity to take a look at it. Chris tried to shield me from, or Kim tried to shield me from criticism. The criticism does not belong with her. Criticism belongs with me for not getting it to her in a timely fashion, but she turned it around very quickly. So I am going to read what I hope I haven't messed it up, is the version that she reviewed and made some changes to. So this is the resolution of the Town of Rhinebeck Zoning Board of Appeals in the matter of the area variance application of MRD Tree Service Inc. It's ZBA case number 1011. The applicant is MRD Tree Service Inc. The applicant was represented by Mark Rominsky, Seth Stickle, and Steve Barnaby. Property involved, the appeal involves property located on New York State Route 9 in the town of Rhinebeck, which bears tax parcel number 1350889-6171-00-773078. The applicant's property consists of 0.995 acres located on the west side of Route 9 and is located in the CB-S zoning district. Description of the proposed project. The applicant is proposing to develop the vacant lot by constructing a commercial building with 3,500 square feet for business service, open parens, forestry business / professional offices. The site will be used as an office for MRD Tree Service management and employees. The forestry service itself will be off-site. Forestry vehicles and equipment will be stored on-site, and there may be additional office space available for lease. There will also be parking for 10 employees on-site. No retail will occur. The front of the building will be 45.3 feet from the front yard lot line. The CBS Community Business South zoning district requires a front yard setback of 60 feet. Accordingly, a area variance of 14.7 feet for front yard setback is requested, and that's the only variance, one variance for a variance of 14.7 feet for front yard setback. The ZBA review, timeliness of appeal. The applicant filed an appeal with this board on February 16th, 2021, and has paid the requisite fee. The appeal was filed within 60 days of the date of the ZEO's determination letter, which is being appealed, dated February 8th, 2021, and thus the application is timely as required pursuant to 125-125B of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law. This application was accepted as complete, subject to the applicant's submission of information relative to landscaping, fencing, and updates requested from the planning board on March 17th, 2021. Such additional information was received on March 22nd, 2021. Seeker, there was a simultaneous application with the planning board for site plan approval. The planning board deemed the application to be a type 2 action on March 1st, 2021. Referrals and responses. The application was referred to the Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board. Following this board's acceptance of the application as complete. The Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board responded on April 6, 2021, indicating that there were no significant planning or environmental concerns. The application was referred to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development following the ZBA acceptance of the application. Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development responded on March 29th, 2021, that the matter was of local concern. The ZBA also referred the application to the CAB/WAC as the property lies within the LWRP. No response has been received to date to the zoning board. However, a response was sent to the planning board on March 10th, 2021, which found no foreseeable impacts on agricultural district or wetlands. Public hearing. A public hearing on this appeal was duly advertised and held on April 21st, 2021. Because of the COVID pandemic, the public hearing was held virtually pursuant to New York State Executive Order 202.1, which suspended certain provisions of the open meetings law to allow a municipal board to convene meetings during the current pandemic via video conferencing and or telephone conferencing. The public was thus afforded the opportunity to view and participate during the public hearing remotely. There was no input received either prior to or during the public hearing from members of the public. The public hearing was closed on April 21st, 2021. Site visit, and I don't know if anybody else went out there or not. I just assumed nobody did, but I just put myself in. So this can be changed if it's inaccurate. ZBA member Scott Bergen visited the site. I went by it a bunch of times. The site is easily visible from the roadway, and the applicant had staked out the parameters of the building. Board member Scott Bergen visited the applicant's property and the surrounding neighborhood to observe firsthand on-site conditions, property characteristics, settings, surrounding environment, and the character of the surrounding neighborhood. Anybody else swing by or take a look? You want me to add you to this? Okay. I mean, it's very visible from the roadway, so it was pretty easy. Anyway, findings of fact and conclusions of law. Balancing test. In our review of the variance sought, we have considered the benefit to the applicant if the area variance is granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. We determined that the variance requested should be granted. This variance requested should be granted because there is no perceived detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood and community by the granting of the variance. Considerations of the 5 factors in balancing test. In our determination, we have considered the 5 factors required by section 125-124C1 of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law. The first is A, if the variance is granted, will it cause an undesirable change in the characteristic of the neighborhood or cause a detriment to nearby properties? We find that the answer to the question is no. The property is located in a commercial business district with many other businesses in the area. The renderings supplied by to the board show an attractive building in keeping with other buildings in the area. In fact, the building as proposed will be at least as desirable and attractive as the other buildings in the area. With regard to the potential visual impacts of the forestry vehicles, which will be parked at the back of the site, the vehicles will be largely screened by appropriate fencing and vegetation. In addition, the setback of 45.3 feet is consistent with 7 other buildings in the area, which had an average setback of 44 feet. Overall, the proposed building, fencing, and landscaping will have little, if any, visual impact in this business district. In fact, the project will improve the character of the neighborhood or business district. B, can the benefits sought by the applicant be achieved by some method feasible to the applicant to pursue other than area variance? We find the answer to this question is no. Given the size of the lot and the need for the commercial structure, parking for employees, as well as the storage of forestry vehicles, the vast majority of the property will be utilized by the proposed project. The limited size of the parcel prevents any substantial change in placement of the building. In addition, the placement of the building allows for trucks, which will be stored on site, to be able to maneuver and turn around in the back there. The placement of the building is consistent with the setbacks of other commercial buildings in the area and will allow for traffic to see the business more easily. Is the requested area variance substantial? We find that the answer to this question is no. And this, to me, was kind of a little bit of a close call, but I went with no. The required setback is 60 feet. The proposed setback is 45.3 feet for a total variance of 14.7 feet. Numerically, while the variance requested is somewhat significant, it is not substantial. Again, in terms of the impact on the neighborhood, it is not substantial given the topography of the area, as well as the other commercial buildings in the area which have similar setbacks. D, will the proposed variance have an adverse impact on physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district? We find that the answer to this question is no. As indicated previously, the applicant presented renderings to this board showing a pleasing commercial structure designed to look like a Swiss chalet. There is sufficient fencing and vegetation to mitigate the majority, if not all, of the visual impacts that storage of the forestry vehicles might entail. Viewing the other commercial businesses in the area, the proposed project will enhance and improve the neighborhood. It will not have any adverse impact to the neighboring businesses. And then E is the alleged difficulty self-created. Again, this was kind of a close call, but I went with, we find that the answer to this is yes. The applicant could forego storing the forestry vehicles, which would allow for a greater setback from the roadway. However, it makes sense for the forestry vehicles to be stored on site, and this necessitates the placement of the structure where proposed. Again, the visual impact of the forestry vehicles will be substantially mitigated by the placement of fencing and vegetation, and moreover, the structure is in keeping with other commercial structures with regard to the front setback. A minimal variance requested. In addition to our review of the 5 factors and balancing test, we must determine if the requested variance is the minimum variance necessary and adequate to accomplish what is requested by the applicant. We find that the answer to this question is yes, given the size of the lot and the need for the commercial building, parking for employees, and storage of forestry equipment. The commercial structure really cannot be placed any farther back from the roadway. Now, therefore, be it resolved based upon all of the facts described above and upon the reasoning described above as follows. Section 1, the ZBA grants the variance requested by the applicant, finding that the benefit to the applicant outweighs the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. As discussed above, given the size of the parcel and the needs of the applicant, the variance is required in order to effectuate the submitted plan. The proposed location is in keeping with other commercial buildings in the area, and the placing of fencing and vegetation will allow for minimal impact caused by the forestry equipment. Section 2, the granting of the variance is expressly contingent upon the following. 1, that the construction of the commercial building, parking lot, and other aspects of the application conforms to the proposal, including all fencing and plantings. The plantings are to be properly, there's a spelling error, it says property. The plantings are to be properly maintained and kept in good condition during the growing season, and the fences to be kept in good repair and condition. 3, granting of the area variance of the variance shall be expressly contingent upon the applicant's full payment to the town of Rhinebeck for any and all fees and escrow deposits due in connection with the application and in full compliance with Article 4, fee reimbursement of the town of Rhinebeck zoning law. The grant shall not be deemed valid until all such fees are paid in full by the applicant. 4, the granting of the variance does not absolve the applicant from having to secure any other required permits and or approvals. The proposed commercial structure, parking lot, and other features of the application must be constructed in conformity with the application and the plans submitted. And then finally, the area variance shall be null and void unless the proposed construction is commenced within 1 year of the resolution. Comments, concerns, corrections? Did I read the right one, Kim?
I think you did read your original, but there was just a few things that
Okay.
it was pretty close though. 'Cause
Okay.
there weren't too many things. I did just want to for the seeker number 5.
Okay.
I would just add that the ZBA accepted the planning board's classification.
Okay.
Just for no further review.
Chris, can you just throw in something there? Actually, did you put, Kim, did you put that
That
in
was
your
it.
version?
That was one of my suggested edits, yes.
Okay, I'm going to accept all of Kim's suggested edits. I'm sure they're better than what I had originally, but
We're just minor, just.
okay.
But there was one that I didn't catch. Under 7 for the public hearing, we did actually receive a comment from Williams Lumber, which had stated that they had no issues, but maybe we can just add a quick statement saying that.
You're right. You're right. I remember that. Okay, and I think that's important to include that, the not even next door, across the way neighbor. I remember that because they usually don't comment. So I think it's important to add. Anything else, Kim?
Just if we're going to just for section 3 of the resolution part, it's Article 14 is the fee reimbursement.
Yep.
But I had that suggested earlier.
Okay. And we got that other typo, maybe you took care of that typo. I forget where the
I
heck
did
it
not.
was.
That one I didn't see.
Where was I?
Section 2,
Section 2.
properly maintained.
Yes, instead of property, it's properly maintained. Okay.
Chris, if you have any questions, just you can email me either tonight or tomorrow, and I can point them out.
Yep, gotcha.
Any of the board members have any questions, concerns, comments? Okay, then I make a motion that we adopt a resolution as read and subject to the changes that we just discussed. And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. And Chris? You got on mute.
The fingers aren't typing fast enough today. All right, Scott Bergen,
Yes.
Tim Escanopoli,
Yes.
Catherine Clark,
Yes.
and Tim Allenbrook.
Yes.
All right. And by the way, I would note it's 9:15, so I won the bet. Or actually, no, Tim Allenbrook will probably win. Who wants to read the Dell's roadside resolution?
That's me.
That's you. All right, go for it, Tim.
First thing I want to do is apologize for the formatting. PCs and Macs don't play together very nicely, so.
I
anyway.
think it's a Mac problem. They never
Yeah,
liked
I know.
they never liked Windows.
Anyway, so resolution of the Town of Rhinebeck Zoning Board of Appeals in the matter of the area variance application at community at Dell ZBA case number 998. Whereas the background the applicant is Dell's Roadside. The applicant is represented before this board by Van Lamprou. Property involved. This appeal involves property located at 6780 Albany Road, Town of Rhinebeck, and which bears the tax parcel number of 135-089-6171-00-819095. The applicant's property is 1.1 acres in area and is located in the zoning district CB-S. Description of proposed project. The applicant proposes to replace the sign design on current Dairy Cream to Dell's Roadside to reflect change of ownership. There will also be a small open closed sign located on the same structure. The new sign will be a total of 67.6 square feet with 33.8 square feet of signage on each side. Lighting will be installed above the sign and the current uplighting will be removed. The sign will read Dell's Roadside. The sign will read Dell's Roadside. The existing steel I-beams will remain to support the new sign. Sign will be 10 inches thick, 55 inches high, and 87.36 inches wide. Height to the top sign will be 12.17 feet. The applicant does not meet chapter 125-37-K2A. Permanent signs in the CB-S district shall not exceed 12 square feet in surface area, and maximum total signage per establishment shall not exceed 30 square feet. Applicant is requesting 55.5 square foot variance. Additionally, chapter 125-37-K3, freestanding signs shall not exceed 6 feet in height. Applicant is requesting a 6.17 foot variance. Finally, chapter 125-37-K3, freestanding signs shall not be located closer than 20 feet to any property line. Applicant is requesting a 3-foot setback from property line, from front property line requiring a 17-foot variance. Zoning law bulk regulation is not applicable. 2, ZBA review, timeliness of appeal. The applicant filed an appeal with the board on January 27th, 2021, and has paid the requisite fee. The appeal was filed within 60 days of the date of the ZEO's decision appealed from, date January 26th, and thus the application is timely as required by section 125-125B of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law. This application was deemed complete and accepted by this board on February 17th, 2021. SECRA. After accepting this appeal, we determined that this matter should be classified as a type 2-617.5C22 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, 617.5C22, because the project is installation of traffic control device on existing streets, roads, and highways. No further review is required pursuant to SECRA. Referrals and responses. The application was referred to the Dutchess County Planning Board pursuant to General Municipal Law, Section 239-M on March 30th, 2021, and the Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board pursuant to on February 18th, 2021. Referrals to the Town of Rhinebeck Conservation Advisory Board, CAB, was not required, nor was the Town of Rhinebeck Waterfront Advisory Committee, WAC. The Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board responded April 21st, 2021, and found the sign appropriate for the location and recommends the variance be granted. Dutchess County Planning Board replied April 6, 2021, and noted it was a matter of local concern. No additional comment was provided. Public hearing. A public hearing on this appeal was duly advertised and held on April 21st, 2021. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the public hearing was held virtually pursuant to New York State Executive Order 202.1, which suspended certain provisions of the open meetings law to allow a municipal board to convene meetings during the current pandemic via video conferencing and/or telephone conferencing. The public was thus afforded the opportunity to view and participate during the public hearing remotely. A public hearing on this appeal was duly advertised and held at the Town Hall on April 21st, 2021. During the course of the public hearing, the ZBA received a letter from Williams Lumber on April 9th, 2021, stating they had no concerns or issues. The public hearing was closed on April 21st, 2021. Site visit. On May 17th, 2021, ZBA member Timothy Econopoli, did anyone else go? Okay. Visited the applicant's property and the surrounding neighborhood to observe firsthand on-site conditions, property characteristics, settings, surrounding environment, and the character of the surrounding neighborhood. The surrounding area is commercial business district with various business advertising signs. No business or deliberations were conducted during the site visit. Findings of fact and conclusion of law. Balancing test. In our review of the variances sought, we have considered the benefit to the applicant if the area variances are granted as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. We determined that the variance request should be granted because the benefit to the applicant does not outweigh the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood. Consideration of 5-factor and balancing test. In our determination, we have considered the 5 factors required by section 125-124C1 of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law as follows. If the variances are granted, will they cause an undesirable change? Well, will an undesirable change be in the character of the neighborhood or cause a detriment to nearby properties? We find the answer to this question is no. The existing sign structure and lighting will remain, and the new sign will closely match the existing. Can the benefits sought by the applicant be achieved by some method feasible for the appellant to pursue other than an area variance? We find the answer to this question is yes. Sign could remain the same, or the new sign could be reduced in size to fit local ordinance. That said, the sign, including the structure and size, has been in the same location for more than 60 years. And thus, that should be it. It makes sense for the applicant to utilize the same sign structure rather than installing a new sign. C, is the requested area variance substantial? We find the answer to this question is yes. New sign will be a total of 67.6 square feet, requiring a 55.6 variance. Additionally, the height of sign will be 12.17 feet, requiring a 6.17 foot variance, and the distance from the property line of 3 feet, requiring a 17-foot variance. However, as the applicant is seeking variances to fit the existing sign with a slight modification in design, the impact of the variance is not substantial. Will the proposed variances have an adverse impact on physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district? We find the answer to this question is no. The new sign will still use the same structural support and look similar to the existing sign. The only design change is a change to the name and the elimination of the ice cream cone design, minus the snow cone. Is the alleged difficulty self-created? We find the answer to this question is no. The Dell sign was pre-existing, and to find another location would not be feasible. Minimal variance requested. In addition to our review of the 5 factors and balancing test, we must also determine if this requested variance is the minimum variance necessary and adequate to accomplish what is requested by the applicant. We find the answer to this question is yes. Applicant does not want to change the sign, name of business, does not want to change the sign, name of business, but wants to communicate new ownership and also indicate that they will be selling more than ice cream, hence the elimination of the ice cream cone design. With a new sign along with a slight design change, it will help with passing potential customers to see the sign. Now, therefore, be it resolved based on all the facts described above and upon the reasoning described above as follows. The ZBA hereby grant the variance requested by the applicant, finding that the benefit to the applicant does not outweigh the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such a grant. Section 2, the granting of these variances are expressly contingent upon the following. Sign structure will remain. Sign total area will be 67.6 square feet. Height is 12.17 feet. Minimum of 3 foot from front property line, and the uplighting be removed. Section 3, the granting of these variances shall also expressly contingent upon applicant's full payment to the town of Rhinebeck of any and all fees and escrow deposits due in connection with this application in full compliance with Article 14's free reimbursement of the Town of Rhinebeck zoning law. These variances shall not be deemed granted until such fees are paid in full by the applicant. Section 4. The granting of these variances does not absolve the applicant from having to secure any other required permits and or approvals. The proposed structures, need a space there, must be constructed in conformity with the application and plans submitted. Section 5, the area variances shall be null and void unless the proposed construction is commenced with 1 year of this resolution. Motion. Thank you. Motion to approve resolution.
Tim, I just want to we looked at the, John looked up the parcel access, and I guess the address, this is for number 2.
Yeah.
The address is technically, it's listed as on parcel access as 6780-6784 Route 9. So we'll just keep it kind of consistent with that.
Yeah.
And I have a suggestion for number 11 for the minimal variance for that that one sentence about the changing of the sign and stuff. I would just perhaps it could read for the minimum variance requested. We find the answer to this question is yes. Applicant does not want to change the sign, but wants to communicate new ownership. And also indicates that they will be selling more than ice cream. Hence the elimination of the ice cream cone design. Because I think they do want to say it's a new, it is a new business in the sense that it's a new ownership.
We did want that. Yeah. All right. Anything else?
Anybody have any questions, concerns?
I have some comments. One, I'm not entirely certain, Tim, but if you go back up, I think the case number that you have at the top of this doesn't agree with what was on the agenda. Might have been picked up from, using one of the templates from a prior.
Oh yeah, 1010.
Yeah. And I think you had 9 something.
I had 998. Yeah. Thank you.
And then on section 9 or on 9 and section 1, that sentence, maybe I'm just not reading it right. Just a minute, let me go to it. Oh, I've got too many things open here. But where it says the benefit, to the applicant does not outweigh the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare. There's 2 places where, shouldn't it read, the benefit to the applicant does outweigh any detriment?
I'm sorry, what sections are you looking at?
Well, there's section 1 on where you're reading the resolution, but it's the same sentence is also earlier. And so I guess I'm asking everyone whether I'm reading it wrong or whether it should be finding that the benefit to the applicant
does outweigh.
Outweighs any detriment. And it's in there twice.
Does outweigh.
Yeah.
It does outweigh any detriment.
It does. I think you're right.
Blah, 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 blah. And it's up above in number 9. Whoops.
Yeah.
The second sentence of.
Yes.
Yeah. Good catch.
Oh, and then on B, I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but on B at the end, there's just a word altogether kind of hanging after installing a new sign altogether. We could probably just take altogether out and put a period after sign. Partly it's the formatting that it's just hanging out there by itself.
Oh, yeah.
Where are you looking? I'm sorry, B?
And B, at the very end of that paragraph, there's an altogether. The word altogether is just kind of hanging out there by itself.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
so
it's
just get rid of it, and I agree, just put a
period.
period at the end of the sign.
Sorry about that formatting.
And I had on D, at the last sentence in D, the only design change, did you already address this, Kim? I think you did. If not, it's ice cream cone design, and then I think that should be comma minus the snow cone.
Yeah. Minus the snow cone. Yep.
And I think that's everything that I saw.
And since we're doing this, I would suggest semicolons in section 2 on the bottom of page 3. Colon, sign structure will remain the same, semicolon, sign total area, because they're all separate requirements.
Ah, very good.
I also want to give kudos to Tim because this was a tough application to unpack. It was a good application, but there are a lot of pieces to this, Tim. And I think you did a great job of addressing all the different moving parts of this in the decision here. So anyway, thank you very much. I think it was really well done and written in a very concise way. So anyway.
Agreed.
Thanks, Kim. Kim helped a lot too.
Well, you did like John said, this one seemed like a relatively straightforward one, and it was in spirit, but there was a lot of changing pieces. So.
All right, no more signs for me, okay? No more signs.
Oh, you're the sign. Yeah, you're the sign man. Sign expert. All right, do you want to make a motion, or unless?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the resolutions with the corrections made.
And I'll second it.
Okay.
I'll poll Scott Bergen,
Yes.
Dave Tobias, oh my God, sorry.
Dave Tobias.
I almost said Dave Tobias. Scott Bergen, Tim Allenbrook,
Yep.
Tim McAnapoli,
Yes.
Catherine Clark.
Yes.
All right. Good job, gang. We're finally done. And
thank you, Tom, by the way, for all of your help and
yes,
as we were moving through the review.
And the official winner for this evening, I believe, is Tim Allenbrook, as it is now nearly 9:40. And
Foster's.
Okay,
Yeah.
you can collect your winnings at the door, Tim.
That's right. All right, gang. Be safe, and we'll see you in a month. And Catherine, let us know about that going out to that the Herm thing.
The Herm place. Yeah, I'll ask him when he's available, and then I'll send a note around because I think most everybody would probably like to go.
Does anybody want to go to? I have to go out to what's her name? Whitman.
I'd like to go. I'll go
okay.
again. I mean, I've been there, but I'd like to look at it again.
Okay, I'll keep you in the loop.
Okay.
I'll let everybody know, but okay.
Thanks.
All right, gang. Have a good night.
You too.